Hello guys and welcome to Magic News. Still don't have an intro for Magic News. That's not good. I need to work on an intro. In fact, if you want to submit your own intro for Magic News, then just email it to this email address and I might use it in the next Magic News episode. Today on Magic News we're going to be discussing Daniel Madison, we're going to be discussing the Verts, and we're also going to be talking about perhaps the most controversial deck in recent history in the playing card industry. So, let's get right... No, I'm not doing that. There is a lot to talk about, so we're going to start with some of the quick fire news stories, starting with Ollie Mealing, who has started, it seems like a big production line of lectures, which is really good to see, following on from the things that started really in the middle of lockdown. The Ollie Hour is fully kicking off, and if you want to sort of take part in those and see what that's all about, then I'll link everything that I'm going to talk about in this video down in the little... what's it called? I've forgotten the name of it. Description. That's it, the description. Why did I forget the name of that? Also in the Magic community, Penn and Teller Foolers has been rolling on with even more incredible magic, and one of the most standout acts from the ones that I've seen so far has been Eric Leclerc. He did a really funny routine that did fool Penn and Teller, and he actually, spoilers, he actually reveals how he fooled them. That'll be linked in the description as well. Really great video. What else has been happening? It has been a busy time since I last did one of these. Daniel Madison has started something, and as yet that is unclear what it is, but he's posted a few teaser pictures, so it seems that he's going to be starting some big new thing. But again, that's really, I don't know what it is, so I can't really talk about it. But I think one of the most hyped things that's coming soon in the Magic community is the Verts, because they seem to be releasing a new deck of cards. Even though I'm pretty sure they said they wouldn't, I think they now are releasing a new deck, and as of yet we don't know what it looks like. From the black and white artwork we have so far, it looks like it's going to be following their typical style, so they've not deviated from that, which is interesting. I thought if they did another deck they would swing it in a whole new direction, but they're sticking with what they know, their sort of format. Unless they're just trolling us and they're doing something completely different, I don't think so. But that is not the most controversial deck of cards, like it says in the title. That's another deck of cards. And this is a really interesting story. This is what's going to be the bulk of the rest of this video, because we're going to be talking about Daniel Schneider / Black Roses playing cards, the deck that didn't happen. So yeah, this is a bit of a weird one. I'm going to take you from the very beginning of this story, and it all starts with an Instagram post that the Black Roses playing card company posted on Instagram, believe it or not. That tends to be where Instagram posts are made. Well done, Cavan. Nothing gets past me, does it? So let's go over to the Black Roses playing card company, and the post has been removed. If you go on their Instagram, the post isn't there. And before I get into this, before I show you the pictures that I'm just about to show you, I want to make clear that I have spoken to Daniel Schneider before. In fact, he's one of the designers of my logo at the moment. So yeah, I've spoken to him before, I've got interactions with him. Obviously, he worked on the Remedies with Madison. He's worked on all of Black Rose's decks, obviously, because that's his thing. And I think he's a really good guy. I want that to be known. And I'm not going to be talking in this video about anything else other than the deck. Not going to be talking about what was said on Instagram stories or anything like that, just the deck, okay? So this was the picture that was put on Instagram. This is the Boob Deck. That's literally what it's called the Boob Deck. And I think straight away, if you've not seen this before, you might be able to understand why there was some controversy around this. Even if you personally don't dislike it, you can't deny this is a bit controversial. So why does this exist? Breast cancer awareness. This is a deck intended to be eye-catching, definitely. I mean, you can see that from the design. I think Daniel Schneider would openly admit it's meant to be an eye-catching design that brings attention to breast cancer. Now, Daniel has said on Instagram publicly, this isn't private knowledge, don't worry, that his sister personally had experiences with breast cancer. She writes the whole thing on Instagram, which I'll get to in a second, which is really quite touching actually. And so Daniel wanted to make a deck, something to do with breast cancer, and this is the design that he came up with. To be honest, from my point of view, and I know Daniel will have a different experience of this because he's the creator of the deck, but what I saw was a lot of positivity and quite a bit of negativity. Maybe, again, he would have a different opinion of this, but I thought it was fairly balanced between positivity and negativity. And obviously, that's going to come with it. I don't think Daniel expected to announce that he was making this deck and everyone go, oh yeah, that's great, yeah, that's brilliant. Because obviously they're not going to think that. It's a bit controversial. There's going to be controversy around this. So I don't think he was surprised at the fact that there was controversy, but maybe he was surprised at just how much controversy there was and the intensity of it as well. I saw some comments in there that were not very nice at all, and I'm not going to read them out. After this initial backlash, let's call it, after this initial wave of opinions, something happened. The Black Roses Playing Card Company posted this, which was an update to the deck. I listened to all your concerns and I understood that a lot of you were upset about the original idea. Personally, I felt the heat from your words and literally lost sleep over it. This deck is for women and is meant to empower women. Let's focus on that initial idea. Let's kick breast cancer's ass together. Okay, so that was the little statement with the updated deck. And as you can see, this updated deck has gone for a different approach. Basically, there is now, I never thought I'd say this on my channel, but there's now a bra on the pair of breasts. And I even saw controversy around this, saying that that is taking away from the initial point of the deck. The initial point of this was meant to be a humorous, light-hearted, eye-catching way, a funny way. I think that's fair to say that it's meant to be a bit humorous and bringing light to a dark subject. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's meant to be initially, whoa, that's a bit, you know, what's that about? Oh, it's breast cancer awareness. Oh, good. Sort of shining the light on a taboo subject and making the information about that more well known. There's the whole feel it on the first thing, which is really, really helpful. And if you are a woman or you have breasts or whatever, you should definitely check that out because there's a lot of really important information that I think should be more well known. I certainly didn't know just how much of an issue this was. So what were my personal opinions about the initial deck of cards? Personally, I sort of got it. I sort of understood what the point of this deck was. I was going to back it on Kickstarter, I was going to get a deck for the channel to review and to own, and I thought that generally the idea was a really good one. But I saw some people in the comments on Instagram saying that it's a bit misogynistic, that it's sexualizing women. It's just a part of the body, it's not sexual. I saw someone calling it a pervy deck of cards. It's only pervy if you think it's pervy. And if you think it's pervy, it's because your thinking is pervy, not because the deck of cards is, because clearly that's not the point. It's about breast cancer, and there's nothing sexual about that. Now, sure, I can understand if people think that using that very bold imagery is a bit weird and is a bit objectifying. Maybe that is something that I can understand. But then it's back to that tricky argument. Is it objectifying or is it eye-catching and therefore drawing attention to an important subject? That's the key argument. That's the thing that people are going to be debating and going to be arguing for a long time. Is it okay to put a pair of breasts on a deck of cards to draw attention to a subject in this way? Here's one of the negative comments that I think sort of sums up a lot of the points that other negative comments were repeating. The start of it doesn't really make sense, but I don't mind boobs on playing cards are bad. That doesn't really make sense. But don't make the central point of the deck and call it breast cancer awareness as an excuse to have a boob deck. What kind of awareness are you going to get out of some jiggling boobs on a deck? They actually jiggle when you riffle, that is true. If you riffled the deck, not that the deck exists, but if you had one and you riffled it, the boobs would jiggle. The deck wasn't made with breast cancer awareness in mind, it isn't even pink. Okay, first of all, the deck was made with breast cancer awareness in mind because it was. I mean, it literally was. You can't have an opinion about that. The fact that it isn't pink, that's a bit of a strange argument to me. I understand that pink is the main colour of breast cancer awareness, and that maybe not having pink anywhere in the deck, maybe that would be a mistake, because if people saw the pink, maybe they'd more easily connect what the deck was about. Sure, I get that. And maybe the deck should be pink. But just because it's not pink doesn't mean that the whole point of the deck has now been changed. Would you put a lung cartoon illustration on a deck and call it Lung Cancer Awareness Deck? That's a bit of an odd question, because yeah, maybe you would. I think that's a really good thing. My mum, I've never said this on YouTube, but my mum was a lung cancer nurse for many, many years. She was a lung cancer nurse specialist. And I think having that deck out there, a pair of lungs on the back of a deck, to raise awareness for lung cancer would actually be a really good thing. We've spoken before with the COVID-19 playing cards about is it okay to have the negative thing on the back of the deck of cards? So COVID-19 playing cards had literally the words COVID-19 as the back design, and we discussed in that video if that was okay. Because COVID-19 is the negative thing, and using that as the design might be upsetting or inappropriate and just plain wrong, maybe. Again, if you want the full discussion on that deck of cards, please go and see that video. I'm just using it for reference here. So then if we bring it to the lung cancer deck, which doesn't exist but has been proposed here in this comment, if you had a pair of lungs, again, that's a positive imagery, because it's about the lungs and not cigarettes. You know, if you had cigarettes on the back design, then maybe people would have a problem with it, because that's the negative thing. And with the breast cancer awareness deck, the Boob Deck from Daniel Schneider, it's the boobs. It's the positive imagery there. It's not the cancer or the surgery or, you know, or anything like that that would be obviously tasteless. So yeah, there's a bit of a strange argument there about positivity and negativity when it comes to imagery on the deck of cards. Going back to this comment, again, it's not the design that I don't agree with, but using breast cancer awareness as an excuse to not be known as the one who made the pervy boob deck. So he thinks breast cancer awareness is an excuse to have a pervy boob deck. Again, going back to what I said before, clearly Daniel Schneider has not made this deck to be pervy. I mean, that's just obvious. If you think it's pervy, again, that's your mindset, not his. There was also a poll on his Instagram story basically saying which design do you prefer, and it was pretty split. The majority were in favour of the more eye-catching design, let's say, and 42% were in favour of the covered, the bra, the more sort of, I guess, ad-friendly version. There was then a follow-up post written by Daniel's sister. I'm going to read this in full. I'm not going to break away to give my opinions. I just think it's important to read this whole thing unbroken. So, dear community, as Daniel's sister, I would like to address a few personal words to you. As you've surely noticed, our project has polarised more than we thought. Well, we wanted to attract attention, but in a different way. I personally wanted to create a platform to make the topic of breast cancer prevention, or rather early detection, accessible to a broad audience. An audience that would probably have never dealt with the topic otherwise. By the time you are affected yourself, it is often too late. It was me. I encouraged my brother to publish this deck. I loved the idea, I laughed when I first saw it, I told him it was great because who on this planet wouldn't like breasts? Me as a woman, I love my breasts and remember how much I suffered when I was threatened to lose them. I thought it was something wonderful to combine this funny idea of a deck with an actual important message. I accept the criticism that the picture we've chosen may have been too vivacious and provocative and does not do justice to the actual subject. But be honest, who would buy a card game with amputated breasts or scars in the official pink breast cancer colour? In the end, my brother has been able to pay his bills too. It was never the primary goal to collect money for charity with the card game, but to make the topic public in the first place. In my eyes, no money in the world can repair what knowledge can protect you from. I have asked my brother to stop the project because it's gotten out of hand. But just because we don't publish the deck doesn't mean you can't continue to learn more. Now we all have your attention, I would like to take this opportunity to all my girls. You have it in your own hands, literally. Please check your breasts regularly. To all men, husbands and fathers, don't be afraid to remind women in your life. I can strongly recommend the page, feel it on the first. Those of you who have been screaming loudest for donations, please reach into your own pockets. I'm sure there are enough local organisations that would be very happy to help. Doing good is not competition, just do good. Love, Catherine. So there we go. That is the statement that she released, which confirms the deck is not happening. There was too much controversy, too much pressure, and ultimately the deck isn't going ahead. I understand why the deck has been stopped. I understand that. But it's a shame, isn't it? It's always a shame, no matter what it is, playing cards or not, honestly, any piece of art or art form, I think it's a shame to see it when the creator backs down because of controversy. So I hope Daniel sees this video, because I would now like to address him, actually. Controversy is good. Controversy means you're doing something right. If everyone, and I mean everyone, loved what you did, it probably means you're playing it too safe. So the fact that there is controversy, the fact that there are differing opinions, means that you're trying something new. We don't need to listen to the perverts, we don't need to listen to those people, we need to listen to the women in this case. Of course, I completely understand why this project hasn't happened, but I think there were a lot of people who understood the message, who understood the purpose of the deck, who would have been willing to back it on Kickstarter and help a good cause, to spread word about a good cause. I think there were lots of people who were down for that. The people that don't like the deck, aren't going to buy the deck and they're not going to see it anymore. They're just having that emotional response of seeing something they don't like on social media and having their moments of opinion. And we all do that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I've done it to other things, of course. Everyone has. Responding out of emotion towards something they don't like, and then they're scrolling on and they're getting on with their day. And that is probably the only time they'll see the deck. They might see it a couple more times. They're certainly not going to back it on Kickstarter. They're certainly not going to get the deck themselves. But the people that do like the project, that understand what the project was trying to do, they're the people that matter, really. I don't know, it's a difficult subject. It's a really tough one. Share your opinions in the comments down below. Please be nice to each other. That's the one thing I want. Whenever I talk about controversial things, there's always a few people in the comments that take it a bit too far. I will be deleting comments if I think they overstep the line. Please just be nice to each other. There are links in the description to lots of the things that I've been talking about. And if you're new here and you've never seen a video from me before, then you can subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next video.
I think you're gonna have to be. We're gonna have to go.